Okay, Philip. Welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining us here on Animate Earth. And we're really looking forward to having you come over very soon. And I'm really grateful that you could join us, because I imagine you're just about to leave and get on a plane and come over to Europe for your big trip.
It's coming up fast. Yeah,
and we're just so excited to have you back in Devon again this year. And yeah, we've just loved having you here and doing your radical wholeness workshops. We've had a couple of them down here now, and but now with this Animate Earth collective, we're moving into a different direction and really wanting to be much more explicit about our relationship with the animate world and what that means for humanity in this time. And I'm just wondering how this new workshop, The Body and Beyond, that you're going to be doing with us is going to differ, or how it's going to use the work that you do in a different way. Just to help us connect and you connect through the body, I think, is what we're looking for.
That's it. I mean, the problem is we're such a disembodied culture that we come to understand embodiment as a state in which we're listening to the body, and it's such a deeply corrupt metaphor, because it's basically telling you that you're divided from the body by a wall, and the best you can do is to listen to what's happening on the other side of it. And that, that creates this self-conscious, self-regarding state of being, where most of our attention in the course of the day seems to be devoted to our thoughts about the world rather than the world itself, rather than feeling and coming into accord with the life of the world around us. So my work in general is about recovering the attunement of the body. For me, embodiment is about listening to the world through the body. And the body is a natural resonator, that basically what the body most deeply understands is that it belongs to the world. And you can hold a blade of grass or a pebble, stand before a tree and feel each of those things, and your body understands the kinship that you have with them. And so to come back to the body is to come back to that understanding. And what the body most deeply feels is the present. I mean, it is abiding in, attuning to, being changed by the present in every moment. So our struggle to be present is more properly understood as a struggle to let go of that part of us that wants to control and sort of surrender to this deeper understanding within the body. And what the body most deeply recognizes, I think, is that everything is alive. There is presence in that pebble, in a pine cone, in the clouds overhead. Life is the medium that carries our world forward. So the way the workshop will differ from radical wholeness is to sort of shift the emphasis onto the experience that enables us not to know that everything is alive, but to have an immediate, direct experience of that belonging and that kinship.
Brilliant. Yeah. And do you think do you think there's a kind of innate intelligence that we can tap into through our bodies, through listening to the world around us and receiving? I mean, how do you think we receive that intelligence? How do we think we can tap into that intelligence through the body?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's like, how do you achieve wholeness?
Mm.
And it's a mistaken question, because how could you escape wholeness? Wholeness is all there is. Everything influences everything else. Everything holds everything else. There's nothing that stands independent from the wholeness. So wholeness can't be achieved. It can't be lost. It can only be surrendered to. And we do lose, in a way, our sense of wholeness, but it's not that we've stepped out of wholeness, it's that we have desensitized ourselves to it. We have built bulwarks against those currents, that deeply felt reality. And, similarly with that larger intelligence, you never lose it. You never stand independent of it. But boy, you can desensitize to it. And I feel harmony in the world. There's a little line by Heraclitus: the deeper harmony is stronger than the apparent. And that deeper harmony that I feel coursing through the world, shaping it, moving it forward, how could you think that it is unintelligent? It is responsive, it is integrating, it is synthesizing, it is evolving. And, for me, to come back to the body is to join that harmony and feel yourself carried forward by it. And it's not a matter of achieving that, it's a matter of sensitizing to this reality. And I rarely in my life anymore find myself making decisions. I drop down and find not the answer, but the guidance that is ready to move me forward.
So it's akin to what we might call intuition, do you think? But maybe more consciously gained or kind of entered into.
Yeah, here's how I understand it, is that we have all been afflicted with a wound that has separated our thinking from our being. So we feel our thinking in the head, and our being is this general state of embodied presence. But we've separated them. We've not just separated them, our whole culture has devised an education system, the overall purpose of which seems to be to separate them. So the body is suppressed, its energy is suppressed. And if you can't sit still in your chair in class, then you're punished. And meanwhile, if you can fill your head with the right ideas and come up with the right answers, you're rewarded. So this, 12 years through this system of punishment and reward, you come out of that system believing that you can think more clearly with this fragment of your intelligence in the head than you can with the whole of your being. And so you're right, it's not, intuition is one part of our intelligence, as is a gut feeling, as is the heart intelligence, as is that brilliant capacity for abstract thought. And my issue is, what does it mean to think with the whole of your being? What does it mean to face an issue with the whole of your being? No division, no separation amongst those intelligences. They work together, and it's like a quantum computer as opposed to a calculator. The intelligence in the head is like a calculator, and it'll come up with answers very quickly of a certain type. And it sometimes seems that the intelligence of the body is slower, but it is actually accessing information that you're not even consciously aware of. It is sending its tendrils into the world and bringing all that information into a synthesis that, when it moves you forward, when it arrives at the right impulse, the whole of your being is behind that, just as the whole of nature is behind a flower blossom. And so it gives such a clarity to your being in the world.
So do you think people of earlier times, or people who live more connected with the natural environment, are living in this kind of embodied way more of the time?
They wouldn't survive otherwise.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, you think of the medicinal plants that indigenous cultures have developed, and in our arrogance, we think they arrived at medicinal plants through, for hundreds of years, trial and error. It's not trial and error. I mean, John has a headache. What plant haven't we tried for a headache? Here, John, eat this. Oh no, John died. Does anyone else have a headache? Because we have another 300 plants to try for. This is preposterous. The world speaks to you. The plant offers itself. You go hunting, you feel the presence of the animals in the forest around you. You are attuning to the world. And there's a wonderful Aleut elder. The Aleut nation lives in that long chain of islands that spills off Alaska and separates the Bering Sea from the Pacific Ocean. And he talks about thinking and what thinking means in his culture. And he says, in the Western culture, you think with words, and you think real intelligence is expressed verbally. But for him, real intelligence has no words. And he taught himself at the age of 6 to be able to go for hours without one thought going through his head. And he learned this from the animals, and he could sit by the sea and feel a sea lion coming into shore that was 10 miles out, like far beyond what could be seen with the eye. But he felt its presence. There's a great story in New Self, New World. Igruk was this great whale hunter in Alaska, and he was old at this time, and the writer Hugh Oliver was at an encampment, and they were by this open stretch of water where a whale might breach and breathe. And Igruk was lying in the corner of the tent on a pile of furs, and he lifted his head and he said, "I think a whale is coming very close and that it will breach soon." And everyone rushed outside and stood by the water, and sure enough, the whaleback appeared. That's how we survived, not by dominating, not by controlling. And our relationships, you speak of coming back into relationship with the world. The relationships we seek with the world are known relationships. We want to know what everything is and be able to name it and analyze it. And the result of that is I can look around me and I know what everything is. There's nothing here that I can't name, that I haven't analyzed in that way. And so then why would I bother to feel any of it? There's no point. I know what it is. And that's the contraction, the sort of impoverished contraction that we find ourselves in. And to wean yourself away from known relationships and trust the body to carry you into felt relationship is to take the first baby step into that other way of being, that other way of knowing.
Yeah. So who do you think would really benefit from, well, I mean, in my mind, it would be everybody. but you know, who do you think this particular workshop is really for?
I mean, anyone who's curious, anyone who's tried and been frustrated. People more and more understand the importance of embodiment. In my mind, we are in a sort of catch-22, where our culture, our disembodied culture, has taught us how to be, and it has shaped our neurology. So the impediments to embodiment live within us. And until you address that conditioning, the desire to get out of your head and back into your wholeness will be frustrating, because you pop back into the head, pop back into the head. But the catch-22 is that those patterns that you need to address, you've habituated to them. As a fish has habituated to water. You don't know they're there. And when you don't know that a pattern is playing itself out beneath the threshold of your awareness, you have no choice. And so there are the people who gravitate to my work tend to be people who have a curiosity or a passion and maybe a frustration around coming back to the life of the body, to feel at rest in the body, at rest on the earth, at rest in the aliveness of the present, and not be caught, be snared by that conditioning that keeps us in the head.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And I really can't wait to see you and to work with you again, Philip. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you here with us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. And my gosh, the place where it's happening, the manner, it just looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful medieval manor right in the heart of Devon, and Devon in May, with the birds and the flowers, it's going to be magnificent. It's the perfect time to be connecting with the natural world right now in Devon. Yeah, so I think we're going to have a lovely time.
The world awakens from its slumbers, and we awaken to the world awakening. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's been such a pleasure, Cindy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. And yeah, I will see you very, very soon. Have a good trip.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.